Okemah area, take your tornado precautions now. Move to the center part of your house. Move away from outside walls or windows. If you live in a mobile home, get out. This is a very dangerous event with the history of this storm of producing a tornado. We look at velocities and we still see it wrapped up quite a bit. We're watching, let's go back to Michael Sager's shot on our artillery roofing storm truck, our lead meteorologist in the field. And this is what it looks like. You can see there's the wall cloud, and we see Mike Scantlin down the way just a little bit there. He's getting repositioned. He's actually to the northeast of the storm, looking back to the southwest towards the area of rotation. So it could potentially go right over him. So let's take TVU 3. I appreciate Cole and Rebecca for following along here as we rapidly switch sources. The rotation has broadened some. It is not as compact as it was just a few minutes ago. Let me actually take off the Viper real quick aspect of it. And we're going to look at this. This is Mike Scantlin's shot, I believe. Yes, so this is Mike Scantlin's shot as he continues to watch the area of rotation just to his southwest. And so he is, again, right in the thick of it. And we still see that area of rotation just to his southwest. And so he is could potentially, if there is a tornado on the ground, he would be seeing it as he is right there. I don't have a GPS locator on Michael yet, but we'll keep an eye on his shot as well. So we have multiple chasers surrounding this tornado. We've got a chopper in there. Let's go back to Skype 1. This is, again, a view from the top of where the damage was. And you can see this is live again. And folks already beginning to clear up. A lot of trees down, a lot of roof damage from these tornadoes, or from the tornado that occurred earlier in the Seminole area. So we've seen anywhere between EF0, and you can see just a lot of tornado damage, up to EF2, maybe EF3 tornado damage in the Seminole area. So this is significant. And check this out. Let's go back to dual Doppler. This thing is just impressive. This hook echo that we see here, that is just wrapping up. Mike is just to the northeast of this area of rotation. And so he's watching it just to his south. So I think it's going to skirt on by a little to his east or south of him and head east towards Bearden. Bearden, you need to take cover if you haven't already. Seek shelter. Again, this could be a life-threatening situation where we've had the history with this storm of producing significant damage. Bearden, seek shelter now. If you live in Okemah, get ready or take cover now. Clearview, take cover now. The Castle, just in case on where this actual tornado travels, or at least the area of rotation continues to travel, you have at least the area of probability of being impacted by this significant storm. So this is Mike. Can we try to get Mike on the line if we could? Let's talk to him. It is getting pretty dark where he's at. And again, the damage has been impressive in the Seminole area. I'm looking off just the side. I keep seeing more businesses damage more homes. And let's look at velocity. Yeah, this is not a good sign. If you look at dual pole, John, do you see any debris with this storm?
I've been watching it closely, Mike, and have not seen any kind of debris signature on correlation coefficient just yet. So that's some good news. It doesn't look like it's doing a lot of damage right now if it's on the ground.
Okay, good. So that's a good sign. It probably is cycling through just a little bit, as we see here, but this is just an impressive storm. Tornado warning until 8 o'clock for Seminole. Tornado warning for Fusky County until 8 o'clock as well, as this one supercell continues to move northeast. And you can see it still taking that northeasterly turn. And our high-resolution models were really indicating this potential over the past couple of hours. Michael, let's check in with him on the air. At least, Michael, we're going to hear from you. Our lead meteorologist out in the field. This thing's been cycling at times. What is the update on it right now?
So we are now to the south and east. To get a good look at this, Mike, we're coming north here on, I think it was Highway.
And as you can tell, I mean, it's difficult when you're in these rural areas to get that cell technology. We've seen this before. I remember May of 2019. John, I think you had the same problem in this vicinity.
Yeah, it's tough down there until you get a little closer to I-40, then it gets a little better.
Right, and so we're going to have to get this.
Okay.
At least we have the view from you, Michael.
Right.
If
Here
you're
we go. Let's see if we can get a view right here. We're almost in position to get a view of this thing here, Mike.
All right, so let's stay with them.
Yeah, we'll pull right in here. Let's pull on this side, or we'll pull on this side here, and then we'll angle
so
it.
There's the wall cloud that you can see. So
structure of this supercell here. Tough to see where the exact rotation is. Probably hidden back in that area there. But the structure of this supercell is quite impressive. Got a little bit of a lowering here. I'm not sure, but I'm not seeing much rotation in that right there. But that's somewhat worth watching. As you can see there, just on the left side of your screen. But unbelievably structured supercell, a well-organized supercell is what we're looking at here. We've had a lot of lightning, which gives you just an indication of how strong this supercell is. And there is kind of a lowering here on the left side. I'm trying to determine if that is just some scud that's forming along the RFD of this storm, or if we're looking at maybe perhaps some circulation. But I believe the base and the circulation is a little bit deeper back behind what you're looking at here with the structure of this storm. But without question, this storm is a dangerous storm. You look at the structure of this thing, and you can probably see that there on your view. And we've got a well-organized supercell that is certainly rotating, maybe not or perhaps not as tight as it was earlier at the lowest levels, but certainly well up into the mid levels of the storm too.
Yeah, Michael, on radar, I mean, it just looks textbook. It's impressive.
Yes.
It really, truly is. It's impressive to see just on radar. I'm shocked that there's not a tornado with this, to be honest with you. But, I mean, we're seeing the same shot you are.
I'm looking here. I'm continuing to watch this. Let me see if it's really tough to see. Okay, I've got a better view here of the RFD cut. If you look at it might be tough to see, but if you look on the left side of your screen, you can see that little light area underneath the shelf. It looks like to be a shelf cloud, which is being formed by the RFD wrapping around. Back behind it, right where that lightning strike was, back behind that, I think we're getting a good look here at what could be the base of this storm. And there is definitely a lowering there. I can't see if anything's on the ground right now. It's very difficult to see, but I can definitely see a lowering back there right now. The visibility has improved quite a bit more.
All right, a confirmed tornado right now over Cromwell. That is a confirmed tornado over Cromwell, and that's where Scantlin is at right now. There is a confirmed tornado. We just got that report from the Weather Service. Let's go to Scantlin real quick. Hang on, Michael. We'll be back in just a second.
Yeah,
let's go over to... Yep, thank you very much. Let's go over to Mike Scantlin, our lead chaser. And we can see that we do have a confirmed tornado on the ground in Cromwell. That's why I told you in Bearden, you need to take your tornado precautions. This is a very dangerous situation. And you can see on this lower left-hand screen where that purple is, that means that is a confirmed tornado. And you can see also, Mike, are you with us? Mike Scantlin?
Oh, you see that back there?
Okay, sorry, I'm hearing voices in my ear, so I'm trying to figure out who that was. So this is a live view of Mike Scantlin, who is right in the rotation. And if there's a tornado, it is rain-wrapped right now, and it's going to be very difficult for him to see at this current time in his current situation. So again, he is in the middle of it, right where the actual center part of that rotation is currently located. So if there's a tornado, it is very close to his vicinity. All right, Mike, go ahead. Mike Scantlin, give us an update on what you're seeing.
This thing is just a very large round-robin circulation. I'm not sure down on. I've seen intermittent vortices over the last 15 minutes or so, but nothing too consolidated. It was actually rather a large vortex at one point in time, but not like a stout tornado, just off and on little spinners underneath the wall cloud. In Cromwell,
And as you can imagine, this Mike, stay with us.
Yes, sir.
So as you can imagine, the cell technology a little rough in the hills there, down towards the Cromwell area. Mike, so we got the Weather Service reported a confirmed tornado on the ground in Cromwell. Is that anything that you could confirm?
I didn't see it in and it absolutely did have circulation on the ground. Actually, kind of a rather large spin up underneath the big. It was more of a bowl-shaped lowering with a large spin up underneath it for 30 seconds or so, and then it wrapped in rain. This thing is just a real bear to chase through these hills and trees, and it's very low to the ground, so really hard to get a good eyeball on it. But if it's not on the ground, it's really close, and it has been on the ground intermittently over the last 30 minutes or so.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Again, this is Mike Scantlin watching this closely. Let's check in with John Haverfield, our meteorologist in the Weather Center. John, can you give us an update on this storm?
Yeah, Mike is getting an additional report of a tornado now, confirmed visible tornado near the Bearden area, and you can see that on Weather 2 here, where you see the green and especially the brown color there. That is where we're seeing the most rotation, so likely a tornado ongoing in between Cromwell and the Bearden area, and that's going to be right along State Highway 99. And this is moving east-northeast, so we'll put a little bit of a lapse on this here, and you can see it's got more of a easterly turn the past couple of scans, but the rotation is certainly there. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's heading just to the north of Bearden. If you're in Bearden, you should already be in your tornado safety area. And anyone along I-40 between the Schoolton area and Okemah. Now this thing, if it doesn't deviate from its course, it's heading straight for the Okemah area now. So folks in Okemah, this is your heads up right now to get that tornado safe place cleared out, get it ready to go, and get your family rounded up. It's time to go down into that storm shelter, your tornado safety area. Again, the lowest level of your home, interior room, away from windows. This is likely a tornado ongoing now just to the west of the Bearden area. Let's take a look at the velocities, and there it is. This is some of the best velocity I've seen here in the past 30 minutes at least that have been indicated a tornado here. Again, west of the Bearden area, right in here. That is where the tornado is right now, moving to the northeast, right at the Okemah area, Mike.
Okay, thank you very much, meteorologist John Haverfield in the Storm Center, keeping us updated from that perspective. Let's go back to Weather 1, if we could. We're going to reset, look at the big picture here. So we have a tornado heading towards Okemah. We have storms in the Tulsa area. That storm west of Tulsa has dropped below severe limits, so that's good. But along the cold front down to the south, or warm front, I should say, is where we're seeing this most intense activity. And we do have meteorologist Michael Sager. Let's go to him, our lead meteorologist in the field. Michael, that storm has had the history of producing a tornado, rather significant.
Yeah, and we're right now, Mike, just 3 miles south of Bearden going north, so we're looking right into that circulation that John was just talking about here, and you can see how difficult it is, where earlier when this tornado first formed, you could be 3 or 4 miles away and you could definitely see the condensation funnel with the tornado. Now we're within 3 miles here and we've got a dark sky to our north, but it is very difficult to see any sort of tornado. Now what you can look at straight ahead, you see that little light area, that little cut that's kind of in the straight ahead. That is what you call the RFD cut of the storm. There's behind the supercell, you get what you call a rear flank downdraft. It's a downward moving motion of air, and it creates that little cut. And usually just on the north side of that is where you would get the tornado. So you can see the RFD cut here in our vantage point, and looking here into this darkness now to our north, I cannot visually see the tornado. Doesn't mean it's not there, but just from our vantage point, it is difficult to see, and that gives you an idea. You don't want to mess with this here as it continues to move off to the north.
Okay, thank you very much for that update. Again, that is meteorologist Michael Sager. Michael, we've had reports of confirmed tornado just a few minutes ago near the Cromwell area, and we look at radar. and this thing is just wrapped up significantly. We're locked in on a Viper as well. So we have this perspective, but if you believe that if anything is within this, there's probably rain wrap, right?
Right now, it does appear that way. Now, we're looking at an area here that I'm seeing some rising scud into some of this here. I'm not sure. Again, we're kind of looking at the RFD coming around, and a lot of times that RFD comes around, you get a little bit of lift, and you can get fooled real quick with what you're looking at. But, yeah, I mean, it's difficult to see right now. We can't see any sort of confirmed tornado. I mean, like you said, on radar, it looks like there's something there, but completely rain-wrapped. We just cannot see it.
Okay, thank you very much. So we are watching this storm. It's still a significant storm, and we can see that this storm has had the history of producing a tornado. We saw some significant damage in the Seminole area with this storm. Michael, I know you saw that as well as this storm continues track to the northeast, Okemah, where we've got James Rogers. So let's get him on the line. Let's get his shot up here in just a second. We're going to check in with James Rogers. We'll put him, if you could put him in TVU1 so that I can see that, Cole, if you wouldn't mind. But this is the area of rotation. This thing is wrapped up. This is a discrete supercell. So this, you can see it's just by itself. Has a lot of environment to work with. The history of producing significant tornadoes with this. So this is the real deal, folks. I can't stress enough, you need to take your tornado precautions with this. The damage it provided earlier was significant, and that still has that capability. Not much has changed as we look at velocities with this. Still, strong rotation near the Bearden area. That's going to move to the northeast. James Rogers is just to the northeast of that in Okemah. He is looking back to the southwest towards this storm. So James Rogers looking back to the southwest. We've got Scantlin. We've got Michael Sager, our lead meteorologist with our Turley Roofing storm truck. So we have this storm covered from multiple aspects and multiple views. So this is moving the northeast. We're going to give you the latest storm track on this. I'll put back on the radar as this thing is wrapped up. Look at this. It's just incredible, discrete supercell. Let me give you storm track. Okay. James, when you look back to your southwest, tell us what you're looking at.
Yeah, I can see a definite lowering. I don't see anything extending towards the ground right now.
And is that the wall cloud that we see on your view?
No, the wall cloud is going to be further back to the southwest, which what you're looking at right there.
Okay, it's a little rain, obviously a lot of rain in your area, so I'm just trying to depict what I'm looking at here. So James, what is the winds like? What are we dealing with the weather in Okemah right now?
Well, the winds are just, as you said, that the winds have picked up just a little bit. Right when you were talking, I noticed looked like maybe a little bit of a lowering coming out of the right in front of the picture you're looking at. To the left, you can see the base.
Okay, and
I'm trying to get it in a better place.
Sure. No, I get it. I know we have to deal.
Wait, that's a tornado.
We have to deal with a little bit of of cell issues there. So let's switch back to that. Go back to radar.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
Mike.
Yep. Go ahead.
That's a tornado right there.
Go ahead, James.
Mike.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm pretty sure we've got a tornado. It's coming in my direction. It's on the ground.
Okay. So let's switch to radar if we don't mind. James, stay with us. Obviously, we've got a frozen cell shot there. James, just so you know, we've got the cell coverage is a little iffy, so we've got a frozen shot. James has got a tornado just to his southwest. I imagine Mike's got the same tornado as well because he's close to you, James. And so James officially confirming a tornado to his southwest. This tornado potentially moving into Okemah. You need to take your tornado precautions. Scantlin, this is heading right towards Okemah. Do you have the tornado?
Multi-vortex, very large circulation. I'm going to estimate the circulation aloft to be over a mile wide with intermittent vortices underneath it. Just look at the radar signature. It's on the ground right behind me. It hasn't gotten to I-40 yet, even though that's how radar looks, but it's really close, and it is right behind me. The inflow right above me is just screaming south, and you can see the lightning strikes really picking up out ahead of this thing. This is a life or death situation for Okemah, guys. If you're in Okemah, take this seriously. Don't go outside and look at it. This thing deserves your respect, and you need to take this seriously. This is going to be a large tornado, Mike, right behind you. Very large circulation, Mike.
All right, stay with me, Mike. We're going to keep on with you here, okay? Let me give you a warning. Okima, this is a life-threatening situation. Take cover now. Do not go out and look at this. This is a life-threatening situation. Okima, you have to take cover now. Move to the center part of your house. Stay away from outside walls or windows. If you live in a manufactured home, get out. If you live in a higher raised building, get to the lowest level possible. Again, if you live in Okima, this is a life-threatening situation. Take the tornado precautions now. This storm has had the history of producing significant tornado damage in Seminole and along its track to the northeast. We do expect the potential for significant damage to move into the Okima area with this tornado. Again, I know I've said it before, but this is a life-threatening situation. You have to take cover, as you and your family could be greatly impacted by this tornado heading right in your direction. I know we've had the warning ongoing for some time. We told you back at 6:50, around 7:45, 7:50, that it would be impacting the Okima area. So you've had a long time, and I get it. It's taken a while to get to your area, but now it is knocking on your door. And again, this could be a life-threatening situation where we have a tornado on the ground. Significant rotation just southwest of Okima. For our friends in Okima, take cover now. Tornado just to your southwest, confirmed with our chasers, moving to the northeast. This is a dangerous situation with the tornado now to your southwest. We are locked in on this area. Velocities showing this rapidly moving the northeast. Very strong low-level rotation with this. The potential exists for large hail as well with this cell as it continues to move to the northeast. But this thing is, again, like Mike said, it's just back to the southwest, just approaching Interstate 40. I'm going to zoom in really close here. Yep.
Showing debris getting lofted now on that with that tornado near I-40.
Okay, yep. So right now there is debris right here. So we have debris in the air being detected by radar. Mike, are you with me still? All right, so let's make sure we've got Mike scaling.
I'm here.
Okay,
Hello?
Mike, so we have debris detected in the air on our radar.
Yes, sir.
Can you
That
see
does
the
not surprise
tornado
me.
still?
I can see the left side of it. So my windshield's a little messed up here, but I'm going to take it outside here. You can see the left side of that low-hanging area back in the rain here. And look at all this traffic on I-40, unfortunately. I don't see it all the way down, but I promise you there are vortices underneath that. It's just so low to the ground. Such a strong circulation isn't going to have much trouble putting one down, when it's only 100 feet off the ground, Mike. So the sirens are going here in Okima. Okay, yeah, you can see the large tornado here, Mike. You see that large bowl?
Can we take that full, please?
Take it full screen. We've got a large bowl shaped here. It has crossed Interstate 40. According to my eyeballs here, it is north of 40 here, just barely.
Okay, so we have
the structure above it. That is just sickening structure here, Mike. This is a very dangerous situation. It does look like the storm is going to impact the north sides of Okima, if not in town, very close to town, close to Castle. If you live between Castle and Okima, this is a large tornado on the ground, debris in the air. This is a life-threatening situation. This is worst-case scenario here coming into Castle and Okima, Mike.
That's right. So now, if you live in Okima, again, I can't stress this enough, you have to take those tornado precautions. We've got debris in the air. We've got a tornado on the ground, a large tornado on the ground. Right now, moving in towards Interstate 40, because crossed I-40. Now it's just north of I-40. Isn't that right, Mike? Just north of I-40?
That's correct. That is correct.
So the tornado he's looking at, you hear the tornado sirens, has already crossed Interstate 40 and is now moving to the northeast towards, right now, the heart of Okima. And it's either going to pass right on the north side of Okima, as Mike mentioned, or it's going to go right through Okima. And so this, again, is the worst case scenario that we were not hoping for when we saw this in Seminole and we were saying, hey, Okima, take your tornado precautions earlier in the evening as that storm was getting closer to your area. Now it is knocking on your door. This is not the time to go out and take pictures or look at it. This is not that time. It's the time to get to the center part of the house. Stay away from outside walls or windows. Move into interior closet. If you have shoes, put them on because there's probably going to be damage in your area. Again, in the Okemah area. This is going to continue to track to the northeast towards Sunrise and Faro. Sunrise and Faro, you're up next with the possibility for a very strong tornado to move into your region as we watch this storm. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in Okemah. You can see there are people out and about here. It looks like the storm is going to pass just north of the center of town here, but it is just a mile or so west here on, I'm not sure what highway this is on west. I should know that. It's just west of town right here, Mike. It is just here. It's right there.
Yep. So tornado approaching that right now.
Downtown, you can see the tornado is north of due west of the center of town. So that's good news. The tornado is north of the center of town.
We still have debris in the air.
Yes, that does not surprise me. It's going to be very close. Let's see. There's a new report on Interstate 40. Very large tornado crossing I-40. So, yeah, it's on the ground back there, Mike.
Okay. And so, again, this is a very life-threatening situation. Okemah, take cover now as this tornado is moving towards the center part of city at this hour. We've got James Rogers on the upper left-hand part of your screen and Mike Scantlin on the bottom left. And so these are two experienced chasers watching. We've got our lead chaser on it. We've got our lead meteorologist out in the field. Michael, let's go to Skype 3. I think we have that tornado on the ground. Skype 3, if we have that. Again, that is, I believe, Skype 2, sorry. I'm getting older here. My vision.
This is from earlier, Mike. This is the tornado as it went into Bearden just about 15 minutes ago. Same tornado.
Thank you, John. So that was just a few minutes ago in Bearden, just southwest of Okemah. And you can see the tornado that was on the ground a little early. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm trying to get these people to keep from driving into it. It is right behind me. It's coming.
All right, so the tornado is just behind where Scantlin's at, so he's repositioning. So this was just a few minutes ago in the Bearden area. Now it's moved to the northeast towards Okemah. So you've seen the history of this. Let's go back to Weather 1, and we will see that the area of rotation moving right into the Okemah area. Right now, here's the area of strongest rotation just southwest of Okemah. Here's Interstate 40, which it crossed just a few minutes ago. And we can see that the area of rotation right now, potential tornado, now tracking to the northeast, and it's going to be close for Okemah. It's either going to pass right here on this north side, which is likely going to happen. So let me pull this away here. So this is East 180 Road, or 1080 Road. Here's Broadway Street. Here's West Broadway Street extending out of Okemah. This is the area of rotation that's moving into the north side of Okemah right now. Actually, now let me go back to radar here. So we're going to watch this whole area as it moves towards the Okemah area, moving northeast at this time, as this is a dangerous situation. Here's the area of rotation right now. It looks like well, are we having two areas here? Mike, as we watch this, it looks like it's building a little further back southeast of Interstate 40. Do you see that visually? Okay. Do we have Sager on the line? Okay. So we still have that tornado warning. This is Okemah. You need to take your tornado precautions right now. Sometimes what happens is, what's happening with this is I think it's cycling back. So it's going through a process where it was intense and maybe it's wobbling just a little bit. Now it looks a little further to the southeast of Interstate 40 or traveling right along 40. Michael Sager, our lead meteorologist out in the field, give us an update on your location, what you're seeing with this.
We were just south of I-40 near Bearden, and we came across some tornado damage, and the tree was blocking the road. We now turned around. We're tracking back east, but as we were coming north, we had a great view of this, Mike. We had a tornado, very low rotation wall cloud, and underneath that wall cloud, if you can envision trying to say, it was very clear as they were coming to the north. And that's what we are now working and maneuvering through here We've got a power line down right here too. But I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Just kind of maneuvering through this. We're kind of caught behind it, so we're going through some of the damage here. But this is a very dangerous storm. It was probably said on top of I-40 as we were seeing it.
And we're going to lose connection here, so let's get Scantlin back on there as well if we can, and let's get away from that shot just for the time being until we get. It looks like, John, this is kind of cycling just a little bit. Give us an update on the rotation detector.
Yeah, the good news is it looks like the debris I was seeing in the air lofted. That signature has come down in strength just over the past 2 scans, so that is some good news. We're hoping that it weakened just enough as it came into the west-northwest sides of Okima. It looks like, from what I can tell here, the velocity has become a little broader, and it's not as tight. It's definitely not near as impressive as it looked when it was crossing I-40 just about 5 minutes ago. So that's some good news. We can hope that this tornado weakened and fizzled out just before Okima. But Okima, definitely do not let your guard down. This is likely still a tornado, but it may be in its weakening stages right now. Let's go to dual pole here and take a look at correlation coefficient. We still see, we still see somewhat of a debris signature there in Okima. It's not as pronounced. So it looks like the rotation is weakening. That's some good news, and the tornado may have lifted. Again, don't have confirmation of that, but it may have lifted just on the northwest sides of Okima. The rotation is still very much there, but it's not looking as tight, and it's not looking as intense as it did when it was crossing I-40 just about 5 minutes ago, Mike.
Okay, all right, so we continue to watch this, again, live footage right now in the Okima area. It has weakened some. Once Mike Scantlin is on the phone right now. Mike, what are you seeing from the ground?
Okay, so that old circulation crossed I-40 and continued north and kind of occluded and split off. I'm going to look to the right here. You can see that circulation is still there, but like John said, it's very weak, but it's right here. You see the base of this thing. It's still spinning, but it's, like John said, it's a lot weaker, but there is a new circulation down towards I-40 right over Okima, but fortunately, it kind of split apart into 2 separate circulations here, and both of them looked pretty strong as they approached town, but look to be trending down at the moment, Mike.
And that is excellent news. We want that trend to continue, obviously, but what we've seen in the past is that these storms have tend to kind of cycle through, even though this is probably the weakest we've seen it in a little bit of time, so hopefully this trend continues in this area. All right, so it's pretty dark. Let's go back to radar if we could, and we're going to go back to reflectivity just a second. Let me switch this around. So this is, again, reflectivity. Just 1 second here. And so you can see the history of the storm. It's becoming a little more disorganized as it tracks the northeast. What it might be doing is either raining out a little bit, it's kind of suppressing itself, or it's traveling north of the warm front and losing its instability, or at least it's losing its max instability, which is something we want to see. But then we have kind of a beast of a storm down towards the Shawnee area that's moving generally in the same direction as this discrete supercell has, or it just might be cycling through. So we're going to have to watch that as this moves to the northeast. So we have seen a weakening, but we don't want to let our guard down just yet. Let me go over here to Tulsa radar, and we'll look at velocities for just a second here. And we're still seeing that side of rotation now, just to the west of Scantlin, where Mike's at. So Mike, even though we still have that weak rotation just west of you, give us an indicator of what you're seeing with that. I mean, do you see any type of wall cloud still?
It's rotating just north of my just north of my GPS, and a half mile north of me. It is spinning like that old circulation is still here. It's got intermittent fingers under, but it's not all the way down. And then I also have another bowl-shaped funnel to my south. It's not all the way down as well. So multiple circulations carouseling under this absolutely massive mesocyclone, a very large updraft just dragging the ground all the way across central Oklahoma into eastern Oklahoma now, and it's not on the ground at the moment, Mike, but we have two competing areas there underneath this thing. It is just a massive wall cloud, Mike.
I agree with you, and we'll show you on Viper again, Viper 4D, two areas of rotation I mentioned, one right here, maybe one a little further back to the west. If we have Skype 1 up, I believe of the chopper again, and we had a nice wall cloud that we're able to visually see with that. I don't know if we had a tornado on the ground or not with the Coco chopper. Again, that's to our, we'll get that going here. So wall cloud, as you can see, pretty impressive here. Might be a tornado. It's a little difficult to see, or it just might be Scud. So really, it's very difficult to at least see from my television screen if that is an actual tornado on the ground, or it's just maybe a condensation cloud just lifting back up into the. I don't know. John, can you see that? Nice, well-defined wall cloud, and this might be a tornado here. I don't know if we have multiple vortices around this, so we might have several different tornadoes. Yeah, I think that, yeah, that's a tornado right here. You can see that lofting into the air. It just doesn't have a lot of, luckily, a lot of damage with it right now lifting up. It looks like we have just multiple vortices along this that are creating these little spin-ups to occur along this. As Mike mentioned, just a huge wall cloud. Just a huge wall cloud with that, and you can see little spin-ups occurring along that wall cloud, and those can do damage. I think that's what we've seen. Looks like another one over here. Yeah, here's another tornado. Yeah, so we had one right here. We had one just a few minutes over there. These are tornadoes on the ground, and you know, this is what can do the damage. And want to just triple check here with if we can make sure that this is just near the Okima area where we're looking at. Thank you. So this is tornado warning now. It's been extended into Mulgee County. Tornado warning now at Mulgee County. So this is moving to the northeast. Again, this has had the history. Mike, I don't know if you're still on the phone with me or not, but we're looking at a live view from the sky. We can see a tornado on the ground with this.
Is it close? Is it in town, or is it on the north side?
It does not look to be in town. I can tell you that much. Okay.
I mean, I'm underneath this wall cloud.
Okay. So this is.
You just got out from under it.
No, you're
I'm
good.
Northbound.
I'm
northbound on the east side of town here. So if you see something happening, let me know. Oh,
all right.
There it is.
Okay. So what we're seeing is a lot of moisture in this. It's very difficult to see. This is a live view near Purcell, just a little further to the southwest. So we wanted to get confirmation on that because we needed to know exactly on the GPS location where that was. So that's further back to the southwest where we go back to velocities, and I'll show you that second area of rotation heading towards Tecumseh out of pink. That's where we've seen those little tornadoes. I'm surprised there's not a tornado warning on that, honestly. Let's go back to that. So it's that storm that is creating the tornado conditions in that area. Let's go back. Let's look at the large view right now. We have had storms out in the Texas Panhandle. We have the lone supercell that continues to move northeast. We've got flash flood warnings along with it as it is continuing to produce very heavy rainfall, but still the tornado warning. We've also got James Rogers in this vicinity, so let's make sure he's up and ready to go. We can chat with him. Who's on TV? Is that Scantlin on TVU3? Okay, let's go to Scantlin shot again, and there it is. There's the wall cloud, and Mike, give us an update on what. All right, so you're looking at the wall cloud now, a little more disorganized than what it looked like earlier. It's trying to kind of cycle, so we're going to have to see how this evolves as it continues to move to the northeast. Again, tornado warning in effect for Okmulgee County and Okmulgee. Do need to take your tornado precautions. Sunrise, you're in the direct path of the area of rotation. Also in the Wilson area. We'll go to velocity, and we can still see where Mike's at. And that's what he's looking. I see him looking at it right now. There's the area of rotation. James is in between it as well. He's south on Interstate 40. And all right, so James, we see that area of rotation to your northwest. Do you still see a well-defined wall cloud with that?
lowering. There's some trees between me, and it's pretty low to the ground, so it's hard to tell, but the inflow is just screaming into this storm from the east right now.
Okay, so you've got strong winds inflowing into that cell where you're at out of the southeast, heading right into it. And you can see that lowering as he looks back to his northwest, north-northwest. And so this is the lowering that he's watching, and there very well could be a tornado. Look at the lightning. Impressive lightning strikes with this. And so this is a dangerous, again, continue to be dangerous because sometimes these things cycle through. They intensify pretty rapidly, then they weaken, and then they re-intensify. And that, sure enough, has been the case as this has tracked to the northeast. Now, this has had the history of producing tornado damage all the way from Seminole, significant damage in that area, towards the Bearden area. And now we can still see it wrapped up or trying to get back together again, now northeast of Okemah. And this is heading towards Okmulgee County. So if you live in Okmulgee County, take your tornado precautions now, move to the center part of your house, stay away from outside walls or windows. If you live in a manufactured home, you need to get out and find shelter in a building. And so, again, a little dark. We're having to wait for lightning to give us some backlight to this, a lot of moisture in the air, so it is a little difficult to see from this perspective. Going back to radar, give you the big picture again. I'm going to give you track on this. So this is the cell that's had the history of producing the tornado. This is, again, northeast of Okemah, right where Mike's at. I'm looking at, of course, Sager's shot as well. We'll get back with him here shortly. And so this storm, tornado warning until 8:45 for Okmulgee County and Okfuskee County. So let's give you the latest track on this cell as it continues to move to the northeast. This will take it from Okemah towards Okmulgee and take it into Sunrise at 8:22, Okmulgee at 8:43, Grayson 8:45, Preston at 8:49 at Morris. If this holds together until 8:51. We're going to see the sunset here shortly, so this is going to lose potentially some of the daytime heating, but still we have a warm front in this area, and as long as it hugs this warm front, it's going to be more surface-based now. If it starts to cross it, then we might start to see it become more elevated and see more of a hail potential with that, and that's very well what's happening with this, but still, broad area of rotation with this. Let's check in with meteorologist John Haverfield in the Storm Center for an update. John?
Yeah, Mike, if we could go to weather 2, it does look like the velocity has come up just a little bit there, right near Mike Scantlin's position, northeast of Okemah. And again, this is to the north of I-40 and just about 4 miles north of I-40 along State Highway 56, where you see this orange color here. I guess it's more of a brown or a burgundy, you could say. That's where we're seeing the strongest rotation. Let's take a look here. This is going to be reflectivity, so we're looking at velocity now, and then making sure that's from the Tulsa radar. Yeah, so this is velocity, and that would put the center of the rotation right in here, in between Mike Scantlin and James Rogers there, north of I-40 along Highway 56. And so that still looks like there's quite a bit of rotation with it. Again, not confirming anything on the ground right now. I just checked correlation coefficient, not seeing any debris in the air right now, but this looks like the rotation still maintaining itself northeast of Okemah. Also seeing a report that it looks a little bit outflow dominated, the way it looks right now. So it looks like maybe some of the outflow is starting to take hold. As you can see, we're not seeing that classic supercells type structure that we did see when it was moving into Okemah. It's a little bit more disorganized, which is some good news, but we still have that rotation ongoing northeast of Okemah. It's going to be interesting, Mike, to see what happens with this storm as it moves further north and out of that more favorable area for tornadoes, which is going to be right along that warm front. So right now that storm has crossed the warm front and is north of it. The further north you go of that warm front, the less tornado potential. The further south you get toward that warm front, the higher the tornado potential. So right now, that storm is moving somewhat out of the favorable air, moving into unfavorable air. So that is some good news. But it's starting to lose some of that classic supercell structure, and it's going to be harder to see some of the rotation embedded within the rain, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely right, John. I appreciate you helping out here on the side of the weather office. Let's go back to velocities, and the area of rotation is still pretty broad. It still exists, but what John was referring to was this warm front that continues to really, I'm going to draw it on for you as the best I can. So the warm front is pretty much situated right here. And so on a map, it would look like this. And so what is happening is the southern fringe, this is where the real warm, moist, highest shear is, right to the south, from Okima to the south. So the storm right now, as it moves northeast, it's like, hey, going, you know what? I don't like this atmosphere up here, so I'm going to try to hang out a little further to the south and try to hug that warm front, because this is where the optimal atmosphere is for tornadic development. But if we can get it to cross over, then pretty much, I don't want to say completely, but it would almost be game over, and we're just talking about large hail potential. Or another scenario is this warm front begins to lift further to the north, and this storm becomes more surface rooted again, and we start to see a tornado develop off of it once again. So that's something we'll have to watch out for. But right now, look, I did not pass art class as a kid, as you can tell. It's pretty pathetic there. But this is area of rotation, pretty broad, but still exists. We're going to see how this evolves as it tracks the northeast. More likely, there's a very broad wall cloud with this, or at least a broad lowering. The wall cloud probably might not even exist at this point in time as it crosses north of that warm front. But still, all right, we have a tornado warning with it. Let's go to Michael Sager, our lead meteorologist out in the field in the Art Turley Roofing Storm Truck. Michael, once we get that vantage point that you've been able to look at, give us an update on what you're seeing with this storm.
Yeah, we, again, the best view we had there was as it was coming across I-40, and we noticed that the circulation was very low to the ground, and we had vortices coming out of that circulation. So vortices, individual circulations that were kind of rotating around a broader circulation. And we unfortunately came across some of the damage, and there was a tree blocking our route. So what we've done is now we've repositioned, and even I tell you what, Mike, and I'll just ask you what your thoughts on this are. If we've got another supercell coming up from the south and west that's trying to reorganize and possibly track back into Oswego County, we may drop south and west just to play that storm and let Mike and the others and Justin continue to track that other storm up through northeast of Okima.
I'd agree with that, yes, because that would keep you south of the warm front, which would keep you in that prime area. So yeah, that's a good idea. So we'll allow you to go ahead and shave off and head to the southwest, and Scantlin's going to continue to track this. We also got James Rogers on it too, so we've got plenty of chasers. South of Tecumseh, southwest of Seminole, as you mentioned, Michael, that storm's rotating incredibly well. So Seminole has the potential to be hit by 2 tornadoes tonight. That would just be devastating. It's a little too early to see if that is actually going to happen, but that is what we're looking at. Look at that monster storm to the southwest of where Michael and Mike are at right now in the Okima area. That's the next one. Will this take more of a right turn and stay away from that storm to the northeast and then hug the real unstable atmosphere? That's a very, very real possibility. And that's a concern if you live in Wetumpka, Waletka, or Dustin, even Wawoka. You need to prepare for a monstrous supercell to your southwest to potentially impact your area as well. Now, I hope to think that, the atmosphere is a little run down because of the first cell, but you know what? When you get a warm front, that might just not necessarily be the case. So this is a dangerous situation, tornado watch in effect. Let's go to Mike. Mike, I think that this storm has crossed the warm front some. Is it as organized as it was earlier?
Let's see what this road, maybe this other road will be a little bit better.
Like not truly outflow dominant, but it definitely let go of the surface-based layer, and it is a little. It seems it's still a ground scrubber, but it seems like it's in stable air here north of Interstate 40. It was still on the ground there for a little bit north of Okima. That old circulation did kind of peel north, and it stayed down. I texted John the video. I don't know if he can pull that up or not, but cell coverage out here is awful. I'm going to drop south with Michael as well, just because going through 3 counties is going to be a nightmare here. Kind of a road hole and a data hole, Mike.
Okay. Thank you for that update. Again, Michael is traveling back to the southwest, and where the next storm is taking over. Mike is sticking with this one for our friends in Okima in that area, and need to watch that closely. And James is watching that as it heads towards the Schulter area, it's heading towards Holt Mulgee. The storm has had the history of producing a tornado, so we don't want to let our guards down just yet. Still a tornado warning in effect. But I have to say, the storm to the southwest of that one is impressive. Justin Teague is on that storm. We're going to get with him in just a moment. We'll check in with Justin as the storm southeast of the Shawnee area is impressive. Again, probably has a tornado on the ground with it as that thing is just wrapping up. We saw the tornado on the ground earlier as we were looking at the feed from Coco. It's just an incredible shot. Now, we have other thunderstorms, a severe thunderstorm. I know if you're wondering in southeastern Nowata County, southern Craig County, that is severe. That's just mainly hail. And like I pointed out earlier, and I'll point out again, because I think this meteorologically has a huge impact on what we're dealing with here, is the warm front. North of the warm front that I drew on here for you, basically right in here, anywhere north of that, well, lost my visual on the finger there, so that moves away. But anywhere north of that, these storms are elevated. So these storms are rooted at the surface and yet the tornado develop. These storms up here are more elevated. They're higher based. And so as they're higher based, they are not rooted at the surface. You can't get that tornadic development. They're mainly hailers. And so that's that. All right, Justin, give us an update on your location and what you're seeing right now.
At Tecumseh, there was a tornado on the ground just 4 minutes ago. I don't know if it's still on the ground. The rain came through, and I had to turn tail because it was coming up on me real quick. But there was definitely a tornado. We had power flashes. I would say that was about 4 miles south of Tecumseh. Again, I don't have a visual, but I'm trying to move back to the east to see what I can see. We're going to be looking just to the south of Tecumseh by about 2 or 3 miles right now, or maybe just to the southeast. Can you confirm that's where the rotation would be on radar?
Yep. So that rotation right now is just southeast of Tecumseh. Let me look real quick just so I can help confirm with you.
Heavy westerly winds on the south side of Tecumseh right now, Mike.
Yes. So that area of rotation is just southeast of Tecumseh, east of the Brooksville area, and west of Harjo. That is where the area of rotation is right now, just southwest of Harjo, where we could potentially have a tornado. So southeast of you is where the tornado is potentially on the ground. And so that is again, near Harjo, just your southeast, or southwest of Harjo, I should say. Let me zoom. This Highway 177 is just east of Highway 177. And tracking to the east towards Harjo and moving towards the Seminole area again, area that was hit by the tornado earlier tonight. So there's the second tornado. So that's what Justin's watching.
Confirmed tornado.
All right, confirmed tornado on the ground right now. So a confirmed tornado near the Harjo area. But we don't want to forget about our friends over here in the Sunrise area. We'll look at velocities. Let me switch back over to TUL. And we still see area rotation with this storm. It's not as impressive as it was earlier. It's still there. Let's look at Viper. We're still, showing signs of some rotation with it. So we don't want to abandon it yet by any stretch of the mean. And if you look at Sunrise, you need to take cover. If we could get Scantlin back on the line, okay. So we will get him back on, and we'll talk to him. As this has been a very impressive storm, has a history of producing some significant damage in Seminole and across southwestern portions of Okfuskee County. As it tracked, really, it went from, let me put a lapse on this. So it went from Seminole to the northeast towards Okima, still wrapping up now. James Rogers is on that, so let's keep those guys going. We'll hear from them as we see this severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Not as well organized as it was earlier, and I'm sure Mike's going to have something to say about that as well. But this is going to move towards the Sunrise area, right right over where James is at. Mike, we're still showing signs of rotation with this storm, as it's trying to evolve once again back into a discrete supercell versus just a kind of a muddled mess that it was just a few minutes ago.
It certainly is, and I'm about 6 miles north of Okima here, dropping back south because of the road hole there. I did have some very strong westerlies here. The circulation was just to my east a couple miles ago. I didn't see anything down, and I didn't see any damage, but very strong inflow here coming in from the backside of whatever it's trying to cook up right there. But it is very heavily wrapped in rain. That very large wall cloud we were seeing earlier, it's kind of wrapped itself up in the rain, and structurally, it's not looking as isolated as it was, and that's just, that's good news. It's also to move north of the warm front. So I think I'm going to poke down back to I-40 and take a look west of this next storm just because I can't keep up with this one in this road hole here eastbound towards Okmulgee from Okima here.
Okay, let's go back to velocities and Doppler real quick. And here's the lock that we have on this storm near the Okima area. Continue to track to the northeast towards Sunrise in northeastern Okfuskee County. Again, this storm is, showing that sign of wrapping up again. And this is, again, showing that supercellular structure, that hook echo that we saw earlier is now returned. See, a while there, it's just kind of disorganized. So what I'm thinking is that the warm front is lifted north a little bit, and maybe this is trailing right to the southeast along it. Meteorologist Michael Sager is in our Arturley Roofing storm truck, is heading back towards the Tecumseh area. And with that storm, who's on Skype too? Who is that? Okay, John?
Yeah, so this is some video we got from Mike Scanlon. This was about 20 minutes ago, just north of the Okima area. The tornado he was referencing there in the center of your screen, you can see that little funnel-shaped looking cloud. That's a brief tornado he confirmed there, just about 5 miles north of Okima. And again, this was about 15 to 20 minutes ago from Scanlon, Mike.
Okay, and an ominous sight, as you can see, and this is why we're telling you take cover. These are dangerous situations anytime, because what happens, you might not have a current tornado on the ground, but with the history of that happening and producing significant damage, and still the telltale signs that could occur again, is that you need to take those tornado precautions. All right, zooming in. I'm going to pause on this. This thing is wrapping up once again. We look at velocities here. You can see Viper locking in on this storm west of Sunrise. So we're still showing signs of strong rotation in this area. Southeast of Last Chance, west of Sunrise, moving to the northeast towards the Okmulgee area. Let's give a track on the storm capable of producing a tornado heading towards Okmulgee. And this is going to continue to move about 25, 35 miles per hour to the northeast, taking it Okmulgee at 844 if it holds together, Natura at 854, Pumpkin Center 903, Hectorville at 905. And that gets it close to Tulsa. And we're going to have to see how this evolves and where, if it takes more of a right turn and tries to hug the stronger area of instability to the south. We were looking at the warm front, and it's definitely south of Tulsa, that's for sure, certain. It almost extends. So the latest that I was looking at was that here's the warm front right through here. It almost extends back to the north a little bit. So there is a bit of a bump in the Muskogee and the Porter area that we're going to have to watch out for as that warm front continues to evolve. And warm front over time is going to lift to the north, and what we're going to hope for is that we get a pretty good area of activity move through and kind of suppress it back to the south some overnight tonight. That will probably be the case later tonight. All right, so here we go. 2 tornado warnings plus the green. That's a flash flood warning where James is located. Have we heard from James at all? So also another one, a cell that Michael Sager is getting back on in the Tecumseh area. And so once we get confirmation that we have these chasers on air, we'll get to them immediately. But this storm, again, history of producing tornadoes. Let's check in with Karen Larson at the news desk, as she's had a lot of damage. and a lot of power outages, Karen.
Absolutely, Mike. What we're talking about tonight right now is OG&E probably reporting the most across the state with over 11,600 outages, about 1,700 customers without power in the Oklahoma City area, but really the most of them are in Seminole County. We've got 6,600 customers there without power and over 2,500 in Hughes County. This is the areas where we were talking about tornadoes possibly touching down and causing damage. We've seen some of the damage from our TV partner Coco in Oklahoma City. So that is where we're seeing some damage. Now, PSO really reporting very minor outages, about 400 customers, mostly centered in Nowata. We did have a cell that produced a severe thunderstorm warning a little bit earlier tonight, dropping some penny-sized hail according to the National Weather Service, and that has about 200 customers without power. I did also check tonight for you with the Oklahoma Association of Electric Co-ops. Those are the co-ops all the way across the state. They don't have any significant outages to report whatsoever. So that's the latest on the power outages. Again, about 6,600 customers out in the Seminole County area, 2,500 in Hughes County, and about 1,700 in Oklahoma County. Right now, we're doing okay in Northeast Oklahoma. We will keep you posted. Back to you, Mike.
All right, thank you very much, Karen. Appreciate that. What you don't see behind the scenes is that we're still all battery operated on our mics and our IFB that we lure our producers on, and I've talked so much it's died, so I had to get a new battery there. All right, so as we take a look at dual Doppler, we still have the tornado warning in the Okemah area. This storm is becoming a little more disorganized again than we saw earlier today, or at least just a few minutes ago. Rebecca, sorry, because I lost my FB. Could you remind me who's on the line with us right now? Okay, just let me know when we get one of the chasers out there to get an idea of how this storm has progressed. This is a storm capable of producing a tornado still showing signs of some rotation. We've got James Rogers there. We have, again, Mike Scantlin in that vicinity. And again, this is a tornado warning that continues for western Mulgee County, eastern portions of Fusky County. This is a dangerous situation. Take cover immediately. The storm has had the history of producing a very strong tornado earlier today. And we've seen a tornado on with it just about 10, 15 minutes ago. So James continues to watch that, moving to the northeast. And so this area of rotation continues to move northeast towards Sunrise, moving towards the Brundage area. Back to reflectivity, I'll give you storm track on this as this becomes a little more disorganized. You can see that it's losing its structure some. We look at velocities, there's still some low-level rotation with it. And so let's go back to velocities again. So Sunrise, you still need to take your tornado safety precautions. Move to the side, inner part of your house. Stay away from outside walls or windows. And again, moving to the northeast, 25, 30 miles per hour. Mulgee at 8:55, Morris at 9:05, Natura at 9:11, Pumpkin Sitter at 9:19. All these areas. All right, so okay, let's do we have James or okay. Okay, let's go to, okay, we have a possible tornado near let's hold off on Teague, guys, just yet. Teague's still on that one to the southwest. So let's see if we can get a hold of Scantlin or James. We do have a funnel cloud reported with this storm with James Rogers, where he's at. Do we have his shot at all? We'll try to get that going. And so this area is still showing signs of rotation. We look at our rotation detector, it's still locked in on this, moving towards the Sunrise area. Again, a storm that has had a funnel cloud with this, where James is at right now. And we'll get confirmation, yep, we still have that rotation. Okay, so we still have this rotation, and that's probably where that funnel cloud is right now. And Haverfield, are you texting him, letting him know that? Okay, thank you. All right, James, do you have the funnel cloud with this storm?
Mike, I mean, right about the time you guys called me, the rain wrapped around the rotation, the area of rotation right here, and I can't see past the hood of my truck right now.
Okay, did you at least see any type of funnel cloud develop off that?
No, I didn't see anything. And the rain hit, and visibility went to zero.
Okay, what are the winds like in that area?
We're probably 40-ish maybe, and we're getting west, and then we're getting east winds.
Okay, so you're right just to the south of the rotation, so it'd just be to your north.
Right.
Look at reflectivity here, and yeah, it would be anything, obviously you're in the rain right now. So this storm continues to track to the northeast towards sunrise. We had a report of a funnel cloud just southwest of sunrise, about 4 miles, so really generally in your area. But obviously it's going to be rain wrapped, so that's going to be difficult to see. And so Scantland right now, too, is just your south. He's going to reroute and try to get ahead of it. And head north towards the Mulgi area and reposition, because I know that area you're in is a little bit difficult to navigate, especially with cell coverage. We lost your shot, James, so if you could work on that, I don't know if that's possible, or if you could get that going again. So we're going to watch this again. Still tornado warning in effect for sunrise, moving towards Old Mulgi. Take your tornado precautions immediately. This is a very dangerous system. Moving to the northeast. Here's the latest track on this. This is going to take it into the Brundage area, 857, Old Mulgi at 9 o'clock, Morris at 9:11, Pumpkin Center at 9:25. We still have a tornado radar indicated, according to the National Weather Service. And so we are looking at this warm front to see how far north this warm front can make it as it tries to gradually lift to the north. And I think that's why Tulsa's under this tornado watch, because as I mentioned before, with the tornado watch in effect, areas of the north and Tulsa, you're thinking, well, if the warm front's that far south, why should I be concerned in Tulsa? Well, because the warm front is going to try to move a little further north with time. And so it might make it as far north as Broken Arrow and Bixby. I think that would be the worst case scenario of as far north as it could make it. Most likely it's going to stay in this general vicinity, northern Old Mulgi County, and these storms, these supercells are going to hug right along it. And because this is, it's saying, hey, I need food, so the food is the warm, moist, unstable air south of the warm front. And so that's what it's going to continue to try to grab along and hold on to as it moves to the east. Another storm now southwest is Seminole. That is severe, has had the history of producing a tornado with that as well. And so we're going to be watching that as it gets closer to Okemah, or I should say Seminole, that was hit earlier. But it's this cell here. Look at this thing still wrapping up. I mean, this thing is just not giving up. And so, again, getting closer to Old Mulgi. Old Mulgi, take those tornado precautions, especially on the southwest side, as this storm, look at this. So just north of James, we have area rotation. We look at velocities, and right in here where James is at. James, are you still on the line with us? Okay, so James?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Any new development with that just to your northeast?
No, I still can't see anything. The rain is just too heavy. I have no visibility whatsoever. Winds picked up a little bit, probably about 60 now out of the west.
That makes sense, James. That makes sense. So what's happening here is James is getting inflow from the backside of this cell, and the inflow here, and this is where we have the rotation. So we've seen the increase in velocities with this. And so this is a potential for a tornado right in the Sunrise area. Again, Sunrise, take cover. I know we've had this warning ongoing for a little while. And again, we've had, I believe, Michael, we got to stay with this storm here, just FYI. This is immediate in our viewing area. So we were just talking to James, so I appreciate that update from James. Is James still on James, you still on the line with me? Okay. All right. So this is the storm that we need to really pay close attention to. I know Scantland is. Hey, James, are you still with us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So James, just stick with us here as you're our chaser on that storm. Mike is repositioning along I-40. He's going to head east and then north to 75. So you're near that area of rotation. So you have winds. Have you seen any damage on your trail on this area?
No, I saw a lot of leaf litter on the roads that we hadn't seen before because I backed up a little bit. But really, other than that, I haven't seen anything.
Okay, and this is this is chasing here in eastern Oklahoma this time of year. This is the tough part, and this is where it gets really dangerous. It's blinding rain. We have a lot of moisture here in eastern Oklahoma. It's difficult to see. Obviously, James, experienced driver, you can see just the water puddling on the roadway there. And we're going to have to wait for lightning to give us backlight to this. And this is storm chasing, unfortunately, in eastern Oklahoma. But this cell is very intense still. And this cell still has the capability of producing a tornado. And so we are looking at velocities here. And this storm still wrapped up quite well in the Sunrise area. Look at this right now, potential tornado north of Sunrise. Now moving to the northeast towards Brundridge, heading towards Okmulgee, staying just southeast of Park Wheeler Corner. Again, if you live in these areas, you need to take your tornado precautions, because sometimes you get rear flank downdraft winds that are going to be strong, up to 60, 70 miles per hour as this thing continues to rotate. And you can see the history of it tracking from Okemah, just north of Okemah. See it north of Okemah, now moving to the north of Sunrise, moving to the northeast towards Okmulgee, and heading towards the Sholter area. It should stay just north of you in Sholter, heading towards Highway 75. Here's the southern half of Tulsa County, and you can see distance-wise, it's not too far from Tulsa. And we're going to pay close attention this storm to see how far north it can travel. Our data was bringing it into southeastern Tulsa County earlier today. Going to have to wait, how this evolves. What I hope this does is just disorganizes, as we keep getting in more populated areas. We don't want this to stick around. It is going through kind of a metamorphosis, whether it's trying to regain its strength or maybe this cell to the southwest is picking up steam. We're going to have to watch that, as that will soon be in our viewing area in western Okemah, or western Okfuskee. So Rebecca, when we get, this is our producer Rebecca, extraordinaire, once it gets onto this area, then we can take these guys down here, okay? Just FYI. So we're going to stick with this one as this tornado warning continues with Mike now south of the area of rotation. There's no, he can't see anything. It's just rain wrapped if there is a tornado there. What I hope is happening is this thing will fizzle and cycle out as it gets closer to Okmulgee, because this is getting dangerously close. And this storm still has a rotation with it. And so this is the area of rotation near Sunrise, now lifting northeast and heading into the Okmulgee area. James, give us an update on what you're seeing with that storm. Still just a lot of heavy rainfall? Okay, so we don't have James. And so this storm, again, tracking to the northeast towards the Brundage area, heading towards Okmulgee. Very heavy rainfall. If there is a tornado in this, it is rain-wrapped. I mean, you can see just the wall of water circulating or around the circulation. The area of circulation become a little more broad. It's still there. It's hard to imagine if there's still a tornado on the ground, but it's very possible. And it's going to be difficult to see because of the heavy rainfall in that vicinity. Meteorologist John Haverfield is in the Storm Center watching this along with me. John, what are some of the updates that you've seen come into the weather office?
Yeah, Mike, we're still watching the evolution of this supercell here in the Okmulgee area, and as you were saying, it's got more of a meaty structure to it now, I guess you could say, whereas earlier, we take this back to 8:26, about 10 minutes ago, it had more of that classic supercell look, but now watch it as it evolved closer toward Okmulgee. Everything is just wrapped in rain right now. This is what we call an HP supercell, so a high precipitation supercell. It's going to make it a little more dangerous to see because the rotation, or if there is a tornado, it's going to be embedded within the rain. So right now we're seeing that rotation just to the northeast of the Sunrise area, about 10 miles southwest of Okmulgee. So folks in Okmulgee definitely need to be in their safe spot. The good news right now, it doesn't look quite as organized as it had just in the past several radar scans. Interesting note too, Mike, that I've seen with some of these supercells is sometimes you can get supercells that have such massive inflow like these that will actually suck the warm front up. It'll actually bring the warm front up with it further north. So that could act like a catalyst to push that warm front even further north because that storm is actually just sucking that warm air in. So that's kind of what's happening right now because the warm front has moved further north over the past hour or so, and it's likely these storms are picking that warm front up and pushing it further north. And that means the tornadic potential with these two supercells will persist on over the next couple of hours. And another interesting note, the low-level jet has kicked in with the setting of the sun. That means the low-level winds are starting to intensify, and I think that's what's keeping this further north cell alive, Mike, into the Okmulgee area right now, is that we're starting to see that low-level jet kick in, and it's maintaining that mesocyclone, that rotation. But as of right now, nothing looks very defined, and certainly doesn't look as defined as it did whenever it impacted Okima. Mike?
Yeah, it certainly doesn't. It looks a lot, really kind of just junky, kind of meaty, not as well defined as was earlier, but we can't let our guard down just yet. As we see this area of rotation continue, it is not as strong as it was, but it's still there, and sometimes these things cycle through. But the general trend, I mean, I like how you mentioned that sometimes this can help force the warm front even further north. So we're going to have to see how that evolves with time. We can see the other severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado now near Tecumseh, heading towards Seminole, and that's where meteorologist Michael Sager is. But Mike Scantlin is, can we get him back on the line so we can check back in with him along I-40? I'm sure he has a pretty good signal with that being near this area. And so he's, of course, watching this just to his northwest. If anything, it is developing at this current time. It's definitely rain-wrapped as it tracks the northeast towards Brundridge and Okmulgee. Okmulgee, our friends in Okmulgee, I know you're watching this very closely. Let's go to Viper 4D, and we'll see the rotation on this one. And we can see that this cell is just, you can see it's just not where we had the reds earlier. That continues to track northeast. James, has this weakened some in your perspective? And so this storm, again, moving towards the Brundage area, heading towards Okmulgee and Morris, is weakening some. We hope that trend continues. We saw that earlier, and then it regained strength once again. John?
Yeah, just real quick, I want to show some video that we got in from Mike Scantlin on Skype 2. This was the tornado just a couple of hours ago near the Maud area. So this is near the Seminole area, and you can see just it's going to re-rack here, but he's coming down the dirt road, and you'll see the tornado show itself. There it is. It's right in the middle of your screen. You can see it rotating there on the ground, some debris in the air as well, and it's just above that power pole there as it continues to spin. Again, this was just to the west of the Seminole area. Again, this was earlier, just to the west of the Seminole area, likely the same tornado that impacted parts of Seminole, Mike.
Okay, and so this is, again, a very huge tornado that we saw earlier near Bearden, Oklahoma, a huge tornado in Seminole, Oklahoma, that caused damage. We also have, again, storms to our southwest that are still tornadic, so this is going to be ongoing for quite some time. And meteorologist Michael Sager, our lead chaser in the field, has been watching this. Let's go to Mike Scantlin, our lead chaser, and talk to him. And Mike, as you look back to your northwest, this storm, give us an update on what you're seeing.
I can kind of see a lowering back there in the lightning. It is way wrapped in rain, and it is way curled kind of northward into the core. I mean, radar, I'm sure you can see it on radar. It's very, very wrapped up in the rain back there. But a lot of scuddy-looking inflow features. I mean, it is north of the warm front, but we still do have like 60-plus degree dew points north of the warm front. So I wouldn't count this thing out. This big, strong mesocyclone, they can power through that stable air as long as that stable layer is thin enough. It's called dynamic piping, and it'll kind of just plow through it until the meso weakens. So this is just kind of a leftover spin from earlier. It is north of the warm front, but it is still churning. And, I can't see that it's on the ground, but it is very low back there, way tucked back into the rain, Mike. And this is going to be moving very close to Okmulgee here in 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, it sure is. It's, again, the cycle process continues with this. It's pretty amazing that it is just not giving up. And it intensifies, it weakens, and then it intensifies again. And right now we've seen a slight intensification with it once again. So there is still rotation. I mean, look at James Rogers, where he's at, just to the northeast of where he's at. We still have that weak rotation with this. And so that's why a tornado warning continues for this storm. And so, again, we're watching this as it moves to the northeast. Tornado watch in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. We have two storms that are capable of producing a tornado. One in the Okemah, or I should say Okmulgee area. Two, a storm down towards the Seminole area. And these two storms continue to move to the northeast. And even though, as Mike mentioned, that it is north of the warm front per se, there is the potential that warm front is now pushed a little further to the north, and that's why this storm's able just to hang tight in its strength. Then we just have a beast of a storm to our southwest that's truly impressive. And again, meteorologist Michael Sager's been on that, and Justin Teague have been on that as well. And it is getting late at night, and so it is going to be difficult to see with any chasers out in the field. Just the amount of moisture in the air, and it's all going to be, you're going to have lightning to give you some backlight. Even that, with the heavy rainfall in that area, very difficult to see. But we have to rely on our radar systems and look at velocities to continue to show right where James is at. And once you let me know when James is back on the line, still that area of rotation to his northeast, a new tornado warning now extended further northeast into much of Okmulgee County, all the way up towards Bald Hill and Pumpkin Center. It's just for the fact that this storm has hit the history of producing a significant tornado. And it continues to show signs of rotation now northeast of Sunrise, moving into Okmulgee County, getting closer to Okmulgee. Again, if you live in Okmulgee, take your tornado precautions now, as this tornado warning has been extended further northeast. This is a powerful storm. James, there we are. James, give us an update on what you're seeing right now with this storm. And you have to bear with us here. Unfortunately, in this region, cell coverage is tough, and we'll probably get him on the line, and then, my luck, right when I toss to him, his signal goes out. But we're going to keep trying, because he's there watching this, and he has the best view out of anyone of this storm. And so this is a storm still capable of producing a tornado near the Sunrise area, moving to the northeast towards Brundage and heading towards Okmulgee, heading towards Highway 75. We'll try to keep Scantlin on the line as well, because we need these guys to keep checking in with them to give us an update on what they're seeing from the ground. It's really important. Here's the area of rotation. You see, normally, we get this little donut hole feature on Viper right here. That's normally indicative of a tornado on the ground, normally. So there's definitely probably a wall cloud here, and just northwest of Wilson, that's where we would have the strongest area of rotation. And we can see those deeper purples on reflectivity, and sure enough, on our velocities, we're showing that sign of rotation right now. Here's Wilson in Okmulgee County. Here's Okmulgee. Look at this storm just to your southwest, still potentially a rain-wrapped tornado within that. So that's moving to the northeast towards Okmulgee, head toward the Brundage area, towards Morris and Bald Hill. In its current trajectory, if I drew a line northeast, it would take it to the Wagner area in time. And eventually it's going to try to keep pushing east. It's going to try as it slows down some, which it already has. And just keep me updated in my ear if we get any of these guys back on here, so that I have an idea that where they are. Okay, thank you very much, TJ. I appreciate that. TJ, our director, helping me out here as we look at velocities. Again, rotation, what hoping is that it's starting to fan out just a little bit or gust out some and lose its circulation features. And that's been the general trend. It's torqued up and it's fizzled. It's torqued back up and it's fizzled, and that's very common with discrete supercells, especially once we get into this late at night and we start to lose some of the instability. But as John mentioned, low-level jet starts kicking in, and that could add some more fun to the system. All right, so we've got Justin Teague out in this storm. We've got Michael Sager as well, our lead meteorologist in the field. And once we get a hold of them, we will check in with them once my production crew lets me know. And so we'll go to one of them. Let's go to John. Let's head on over to John. John, for an update.
Yeah, John, Mike, I just want to show everybody kind of the bigger picture and let everybody know we're just looking at the tornadic storms to the south of Tulsa. Everywhere north of there, we're not seeing any severe storms right now. You can see some scattered thunderstorm activity northwest of the Tulsa area now through Osage County, and then some stronger activity up toward the Miami area. Again, that's moving to the north and east, but this activity here is not severe. You'll likely just see some heavy rain and maybe some brief gusty winds. That's about it. Again, we're mainly focused on these two supercells to the south of Tulsa. Mike?
Okay, so that's what we're watching. Let's go further back to the southwest. We have a tornado confirmed on the ground. Justin Teague. Justin, give us an update on this storm moving north of Seminole. This is the same area that got hit by the tornado earlier this evening. Justin?
Yes, Mike, exactly. I actually just drove through the damage path a minute ago. That was kind of weird because we were questioning whether it was new damage or old damage, given the current situation. We determined that it is.
So once again, losing because of cell technology, unfortunately. You think about the folks that live in these areas that have to deal with those on a daily basis, and the heavy rain definitely not helping out at all either. So James Rogers still on the storm. Scantlin in the Henrietta area. We should be getting his shot. I mean, he's on I-40, so that should have some good... Okay, let's take Scantlin's picture right now as we look at this storm continuing to track to the east. Again, this is a storm that's had the history of producing a tornado with it as it tracks east, so northeast towards the Okmulgee area. This is a storm capable still of producing a tornado that we're watching very closely. John?
Yeah, Mike, again, this storm here not looking too organized at the moment in terms of tight rotation, but for folks in the Okmulgee area, again, you're going to want to be in that safe area because while we don't have anything confirmed on the ground, these things can intensify pretty quick. And with it being rain-wrapped and at night, that's not a good situation. You won't see the tornado coming. You'll just see a lot of power flashes, and then it will be there. So it's a kind of a dangerous situation if this does put down a tornado that will come into the Okmulgee area. Again, we're looking at this area right here, again, just to the north and east of the Sunrise area, again, moving east-northeast toward the Okmulgee area if that area of rotation sticks together. And I believe we have Scantlin on the line now. Scantlin, tell us where you're located, what you're seeing.
But I'll tell you what I'm seeing that is surprising to us meteorologically. It still has that really scuddy convective base, even though we are north of the warm front. We get those lower temperatures north of the warm front, so the storms get lower, but the air should be more stable. However, those higher dew points, the warm front, there's a new tornado warning being issued. Stop yelling in my ear. Okay, I'm sorry about that. You can see these big scuddy inflow bands coming in from the east, feeding in east to west into the storm. This thing looks just as good as it did coming into Okemah. Unfortunately, it is north of the warm front, but it's not stopping it. That's a cyclones can kind of create their own environment whenever they spin hard enough. And this thing is persisting, unfortunately, and it looks to it's got its sights set on Okmulgee.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Mike. And if we go back to weather too, I can show you exactly what Mike's talking about with the inflow here. You can see the greens, the light greens here. That's wind that's going into that supercell now. It's literally inhaling and it still has that strong wind coming into it, and that's noted here on velocity radar, where we see those strong south winds coming out of Henrietta into the Okmulgee area. So this storm is nowhere near collapsing. It still has good signs that it's still alive and kicking, and like Mike was saying, it can create its own environment where even though it's north of the warm front, it can still survive and thrive and still possibly put down a tornado. Mike?
All right, thank you very much, meteorologist John Haverfield in the Storm Center with the update. Want to give you the big picture on what's going on tonight. If you're just checking in, maybe getting home from some activities, whatever that might be. So all this activity in northeast Oklahoma, this is all elevated in nature, meaning it's above the surface. It's causing a lot of hail or some heavy rainfall, okay? So that's that. Then we have a warm front to the south of us that continues to hang out near Interstate 40. And this is where these discrete supercells are feeding off a very prime atmosphere. And so it's feeding off of that. That's what's giving it the energy as it tracks to the east. Now, what we're waiting for to see is, does this cross further north and we lose the tornadic activity with this? That's what we're hoping for. Does this one become more dominant? That's what we're watching as well. So we have multiple chasers in the field right now. We even have our lead meteorologist in the field, Michael Sager, who's watching that one down towards Seminole. But we also have this one in Okmulgee that is still tornadic, or at least the potential for tornado develop. Now, it is, as John mentioned, there's the strong south winds heading into this. It is not as organized as it was earlier, as it's getting closer to Okmulgee. That's one way of looking at it. Another way is that we go back to reflectivity, and we can see that maybe this is just kind of morphing again. And so the strong south winds coming into it, it might try to rotate again. So if you live in Okmulgee, still keep those tornado precautions in place, still be seeking shelter as this thing slowed down a lot, and it's pretty broad that you can see on our Viper as well. So it's not as compact as it was, and as long as we keep it pretty broad, then we're not worried about any compact development or any tornadic development. But there still is some rotation with this. It's just not that great. So here's the strong winds out of the south-southeast pulling into this and trying to rotate. So if you live in Sholter, your winds are out of the southeast pretty strong. Let's see just above the surface here. And so this is, you look at that 53-mile-an-hour winds just above the surface getting pulled into this. So it's going to be interesting to see how this evolves. So at Okmulgee, you still need to take those tornado precautions. Now, we're not done with that just yet, because further to the southwest, we have another severe storm capable of producing a tornado near the Seminole area. And that's where meteorologist Michael Sager, a lead meteorologist in the field with our artillery roofing storm truck, is close to. So, Michael, give us an update on what you're tracking.
I tell you what, we are right on this, just to the southeast of this circulation, Mike. We are getting intense cloud-to-ground lightning strikes at the moment. And every once in a while, when we get a flash of lightning, we can somewhat see a bit of a lowering where this circulation is. But unfortunately, the flashes of lightning are not really giving us a really good picture. But it has been a very intense situation here, and getting a lot of circulation, obviously, on radar. But we are in perfect position watching this, seeing if we get anything to visually confirm.
How far south of you are you of Interstate 40?
Right now, let me pull up the map here. We are due east of Seminole, and I've got to remember the road that we're on here, but we're pulled over here. Oh, I tell you what, Mike, this lightning is hitting real close to us right now, really close to us. We are on Highway 9, and on radar, we're still about 6 miles southeast of the circulation, and that's where we're kind of pointing this right now. And I don't know if you can hear that and see the flashes on our camera. This lightning is extremely dangerous, and along with that, we've got a possible tornadic supercell.
Yeah, you do. And, so where you're at, the storm rotation is just to your northwest, and probably rain-wrapped, unfortunately, as we have seen a lot of tonight. Let me look back again. So that's just to your northwest on Highway 9, and it would be rain wrapped. Obviously, you're in the middle of the heavy rain too, right?
Right, we're actually in a clear spot right now.
Okay.
We're between the heavy rain and the circulation, and we can actually see if the lightning flashes, what you're looking at, that glow along the horizon is the rain-wrapped circulation.
Okay.
So we're pointing right toward that circulation.
Okay. And so we're watching, if we look at velocity or Viper, we'll show you exactly where Mike's at. He is right in this vicinity right here, looking back to the northwest. So as you look at his screen, that's what he's looking at, that rotation. And so that's moving now. That's been extended now into our viewing area, Michael. Again, tornado warning now for the western portions of Okfuskee County. So a tornado warning now for your area, into our viewing area, I should say, just to your northeast. What are the wind speeds like going into that storm?
Right now, not a lot of inflow. I'm getting a little bit. Typically you would think with a tornadic supercell, you would really feel the inflow in this position. The wind is not too bad, but I will say we are somewhat protected. We've got a hill behind us, so that might be affecting that somewhat. Okay.
And so, again, this is a very dangerous situation. Please take cover immediately if you live in Okemah again. I know this is round 2, but this is heading in your general direction. We also have the tornado warning in Okmulgee that continues. It's a little more disorganized than it was earlier. It's still there, though. There's still area rotation moving right now into the town of Okmulgee. Mike Scantlin is watching it. James Rogers is watching it. And then we have the storm capable of producing a tornado near the Cromwell area. And Michael, this area, this will be difficult at times to determine if there is a tornado, which one caused the damage. Is it the first one or is it this one? These are traveling in such close proximity.
Yeah, it looks like this one's maybe going, at least initially, just north of the original, at least from what I was looking at. And but you're exactly right, Mike. This is unbelievably an eerily similar track compared to the previous supercell that just moved through. And obviously, as we've been talking about all evening, taking advantage of that warm front that is right along here.
Okay, let's check in with John Haverfield for an update from the Weather Center. John?
Yeah, Mike, we're just keeping an eye on some of the chatter, and it looks like we're starting to see some really significant flooding occurring right now in the Okmulgee area. Some roads impassable in the Okmulgee area, so a lot of street flooding ongoing, and I'd imagine there's probably some street flooding in Okemah. Not a time to be out and about right now. Likely a lot of flooding along the path of these 2 supercell storms. So we're getting some reports of some major street flooding going on right now in the Okmulgee area. Also, sirens are now sounding, as they should be, in the Okmulgee and Morris areas as that circulation moves closer toward Okmulgee right now. And we're still seeing favorable environment for these storms to move into. Again, these storms look like either the warm front has pushed north or the storms themselves has helped push that warm front north, but we're still looking at a favorable environment, more so for the secondary storm off to the west than the storm closer toward Okmulgee. So right now we'll still have some very strong rotation with this further west storm, but the storm near Okmulgee still bears very close watching, as it's still in a spot that could definitely allow for some rotation. Another report now, again, of some more flooding reports coming out of Okmulgee. Some bad situation right now in Okmulgee with a lot of flooding going on, Mike.
Yeah, and that's going to be a huge concern overnight tonight, where we're looking at totals of 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. This Highway 56 west of Okmulgee is nearly impassable. So just west of Okmulgee, very heavy rainfall that continues with flooding problems in that vicinity. And overnight tonight, folks, with the rain continuing, it is going to be a dangerous situation. So we have a confirmed tornado warning where Michael's at. We have, so Michael, hey, Rebecca, if you wouldn't mind getting Scantlin back on. Yeah. And so, again, we're going to be checking in with, all right, so Mike, as you track a little further north on 75, the storm is a little more meaty now than it was a little earlier. Give us an update on what you're seeing.
Well, I haven't seen underneath this thing for a while. It's very rapid rain, and it's pretty close to me if there is something happening. Rotation is very, very broad at this point. I think we are seeing it move just out of that surface base Cape area. Just a quick look at mesoanalysis. I think if it's not done, it's pretty close to it. I mean, there's a tornado warning on it. Still take it seriously, but the broadening of the mesocyclone as this thing kind of takes more of a northward turn, that structure-wise tells me that it's trying to let go of that surface base juice. So, it's trending that direction, but it still has a tornado warning on it and still has pretty strong velocities on the inflow side. So take it seriously, but it looks like it's trending down at the moment for me.
I mean, that hopefully is the trend. The trend is our friend on that, and let's, of course, keep that going, Mike. And again, still a tornado warning with it, but it is a lot more disorganized. Now, the flash flooding, that's a big concern, Mike. I mean, you're traveling through that. It's just been water ponding everywhere.
The highway is rough. I mean, I'm going 35, and I'm still hydroplaning all over the place. A lot of water, absolutely incredible amount of water on the highway here as the storm, slows down, and it's just dumping. And the right side of the highway actually has quite a bit of water, almost up and over the curb in the lower spot. So if this thing doesn't have a flash flood warning on it, it probably should, absolutely.
Sure. And it's just a lot of water associated with this storm as it slowly moves to the northeast. Very disorganized compared to where it was earlier. So you can see that it's just not, earlier in the evening. I'm going to put a lapse on this. I mean, look how they were discrete and I mean, just perfect supercells. Now, when I see meaty, it's just, there's a lot of heavy rain, a lot of water with it. It's almost like it's raining itself out, and that's what we were hoping for as it tracked to the northeast. Now, even Viper losing the locks on it, still very, very broad rotation with it moving into Okmulgee, so we can't let our guard down just yet, but not as impressive as it was earlier, and so we're very thankful for that. And there probably is a very broad area lowering moving through Okmulgee right now. And so we're going to continue to watch this as it gets closer to 62 and then tracks the northeast towards the Boynton area, towards Haskell as well. And this looks to stay south of Tulsa. Now, what's going on in the metro? Well, some thunderstorms, and they're not severe. And thank goodness for that. Then we have a lot of heavy rainfall in the Bartlesville area, just numerous scattered showers and thunderstorms, but it's these cells to the southwest. Meteorologist Michael Sager is down on this storm, and now northeast to Seminole. And Michael, we've had reports of tornado on the ground with this storm as it gets closer to Okemah. Give us an update on that.
Situated the same spot here and completely rain-wrapped circulation. We've watched that kind of work its way up to the north, and what we're looking at here, you'll see the lightning kind of flashing on our screen. The lightning has been incredibly intense with this, and we have watched, again, that circulation pass off to the north, but still monitoring this as this storm tracks north and east. It has been completely rain-wrapped. So, again, a very dangerous situation when you're dealing with the rain-wrapped circulation. You just can't see it approaching you. And as we watch the circulation pass through our north, completely wrapped in rain, Mike, just unable to make any sort of definition of any sort of funnel or any sort of tornado that could have been inside there. So it may just look like a wall of rain and being illuminated by the lightning as it approaches you, but certainly could be a tornado inside there.
Okay, and that's what we're watching. And, I mean, Michael, the amount of water associated with these storms has been incredible. And to think that it's not over, I mean, we still have more storms overnight tonight. Just the flash flooding threat is going to be immense in itself.
Exactly right. And with some of the rainfall, we had some very heavy rains Monday into Monday night, and some swaths there of about 3 to 4 inches across Okmulgee County and into parts of Wagner County and Muskogee County. And we're looking at that again today. I mean, we had heavy rain this morning, and here comes another round tonight. And flash flooding is going to be a big concern. I've already heard some of the reports from our other chasers that they've been dealing with that. And as we've come through some of the communities here while chasing this last 2 supercells, we've definitely encountered, some street ponding, and it will only get worse.
That it will, Michael, and I appreciate your updates. Still looking at that lowering as it gets closer to Akima. I wonder how long it can sustain itself going over an area that's already been heavily hit by severe weather just a few hours ago.